Today we're celebrating Vesak Day, which commemorates the birth, the enlightenment, and also the passing away, or the parinibbana of the Buddha. These three things are very important to Buddhists. The Noble Eightfold Path means the Noble Eight Steps. What is the first step? In Bali, it's called sammaditthi, which means right viewpoint or right understanding. The second one, samma sankappa, which is right thinking, to think in a proper way. Then follows three more, samma vaca, which means proper speech, using your mouth in a proper way. Samma kammanto, how to act properly. Samma achivo, how to live your life and have a livelihood that's proper. Samma vayamo, right effort. Samma sati, right mindfulness. Samma samadhi, right concentration. A lot of us have already heard this before and read this before. But let me ask you, if you evaluate yourself, which step are you practicing right now? When you practice, what step do you practice? A lot of us practice samma samadhi. We meditate. We sit down, we cross our legs, we close our eyes and focus on our breathing, and we empty our minds. That is practicing samadhi or concentration. Some of us practice a different way. Some of us practice to watch as the phenomenon passes through our mind, as the anger arises, and then it falls, and then arises, and it falls. We watch it, and we are aware, but the anger keeps coming back. Some of us practice effort. We try our best. In whatever we do our best. A lot of us say, do your best, that's all you can do. Some of us practice that one. Other people practice really hard to live a good life. They try to say the right things. They try to act the right way. They try to live and use good jobs. They try their best not to yell at anyone. If someone makes you mad, you don't answer, you don't yell. If someone acts at you rough or pushes you down, you just get up and walk away. We forgive. We don't fight. We're Buddhists. Some people practice this one instead. Then some people practice thinking differently. Let's say that someone bothers you or someone hurts you. Somebody cuts you off when you're driving and someone cuts in front of you really fast. What do you think? First of all, you think, this guy's such a jerk. How could he do this? So rude. Or he's so mean, or it's so dangerous. But then a lot of people change the way they think and they say, wait a minute, thinking like this is bad. I am going to change the way I think. Maybe he didn't mean it, right? Think positive, right? Maybe he didn't see me. Or maybe he's in a hurry. Maybe his wife is pregnant. Maybe he has to go to the bathroom, right? Maybe he's late for a meeting. And the more positive you think, sometimes you feel okay. Now, all of these things are things that Buddhists practice all over the world. However, the one thing that Buddhists forget to practice is the very first step that the Buddha taught, sammaditthi, right viewpoint. If you don't have the right viewpoint, you can't think the right way. You can't act the right way. You can't speak the right way. You can't live the right job. You can't have effort in the right thing. You don't have mindfulness of the right thing. Your concentration is concentrating on the wrong thing. What does sammaditthi mean? Sammaditthi means having the right viewpoint based on universal truths. There's three types of truths in this world. Did you know that? There's three types of truth. Number one, there's an aristocratic truth. Number two, a democratic truth. And number three, a universal truth. These truths are not the same. They're all truths, but they're not the same. An aristocratic truth, what is that? Aristocratic truth is when one person or a very small group of people decide for everybody what's true and what's false. Like a king, right? Or the president, or maybe some prime ministers, some rich people. They decide what's right or wrong. You're wrong, kill him. You're wrong, I forgive you. It's their choice, and you have to live with that. That's called an aristocratic truth. Now there's a second one called a democratic truth, which means the truth that the majority agrees. The majority, most people, over 50%, get together and agree on this is true and that's true. Such as what? Well, in the United States history, they took Africans from Africa, brought them over here, and they're slaves. And is this wrong? No, because we agree that it's not wrong. But then a little while later, the majority comes back together and says, let's take a new vote. And we think it's wrong. So we can't do this anymore. It's wrong. So that's another truth. It becomes law, right? No more slavery. But these things, the problem with these two types of truth is that somebody always disagrees. When the king tells the truth, sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't. If it helps you, you agree. If it doesn't, you don't like it. The same thing with the democratic truth. In a democracy, you go by the majority. Therefore, you have to have the minority. And the minority is opposite of what the majority thinks. So therefore, they're not going to agree. Some people will be happy, some people will be sad. Because what? We're basing our truths on something that's not constant, something that cannot be held onto. But then what is a universal truth? A universal truth is one which everybody can agree on. A universal truth is one that nobody will disagree. No animals, no trees, no rocks, spirit or no spirit, alive or not alive, heaven or hell, nobody would disagree. Can anyone think of a universal truth that everyone in this world would agree on? Impermanence or permanence? Mm-hmm. Everything in the world is impermanent. It must change. Nothing in this world can stay the same forever, right? This is a beautiful one. How about another one? Mm-hmm. Suffering is apparent in everything. Wherever you go, whatever you do, somehow, some way, there will be suffering involved. How about the truth of death? Everybody who has ever been born will die. These things are called universal truths, right? However, here's the thing. The Buddha, when he became enlightened, if you look at the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and when he gave the example in there, he said his jnana tassana occurred. Jnana tassana is very important for us. What it means is, jnana is the knowledge. Tassana is the experience. He had the knowledge of the truth, and he also had the experience of the truth. Now let me check with you guys if we have jnana tassana or jnana tassana. We know that everything must change, right? So what happens when we're younger and our skin is tight and smooth, right? Our face is pretty, no pimples, we got muscles. And then what happens when you get a little older? Your hair starts to go back an inch or two, right? Your skin gets an extra layer of wrinkles. You get a couple wrinkles here, a couple wrinkles there. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with looking back at the beautiful, sexy me and then the current me? Are you okay with that? Some of us are not. Some of us, especially the older people, we always talk about the old days, right? When we see the young people, you know, when I was your age, right? 20 years ago, 40 years ago, some of us 60 years ago, I was really pretty. And they look at you like, really? But that's how we feel. That's what I mean, is that we know that everything must change. But here in our heart, we don't believe it. We refuse to believe it. It's there. The evidence happens to everybody. But for me, I don't care. I don't want to believe it. I don't care. And that's why you suffer. Another truth, the truth of death. Everyone must die. Yet when your mom dies, when your dad dies, your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter? Do we cry? Are we sad? Do we feel pain in our hearts? Yeah. Why? I thought everyone knows, right? Has there ever been one person that was born and didn't die? No. So the very day that anyone was born, you're going to die. And for 80 years, 70 years, 60 years, we're reminded that people die. Yet how come when it happens to someone near us, or it's going to happen to us, it hurts us so bad? Same reason. I don't care. I don't believe it. I know it's true, but I don't care. I won't believe it. This is what they call miccha titi, wrong viewpoint. Even though you know the truth here, but your heart doesn't care. Your heart doesn't care. I'll fight it. I'll ignore the evidence. And that's the thing. If you cannot bring yourself back to samadhiti, which means everyone must die, I must die, everything changes. I will change too. And really believe it. You'll never be free from the suffering. I go back to the Bali words that I said earlier after the dhammadesana, which was yam pichang nalapati tampi tukang. What this means is that if you desire something and you don't get it, you will suffer. Once again, if you desire something and you don't get it, you will suffer. How about an example? Let's say that a lot of us have families here, either mothers or fathers at least. Some of us have husbands and wives and kids. You ever feel that your kid, your husband, your wife are not the way you want? Maybe some husbands don't clean up enough. Maybe some wives talk a little too much, right? Maybe some wives are too bossy. Maybe some husbands are too lazy, right? Maybe some parents refuse to let go of their kids. 60 years old, they still tell their kids what to do, right? Do your business like this. Change the way you dress. It happens. But why do we do this to each other? Why do we try to control each other? And then what happens when we try to control them and we don't get it? We feel suffering. This is what it means. So when your husband is lazy, sleep all day, eat all day, watch TV all day, do no work, and then you ask him to just take out the trash, he says later. Do you get mad? Yeah. You get mad. Who do you blame? Who do you blame? Whose fault is that? Not here, but here. If you ask this person here, whose fault is it? Is it your fault? Or is it your husband's fault? It's your husband's fault. He's a lazy bastard, right? 5 years I've known him, 10 years I've known him. He never do it, he never does it, he never does that. And that makes you more mad, right? Or your kids, you give them everything. You gave them life, you gave them a home, you gave them clothes, you took them to school, you find the best schools for them, you buy them books, you take care of them when they're sick, you do everything for your kids. And then they smoke cigarettes. And then they don't get good grades. Or they don't want to go to college. Or they don't even want to go to school. They don't want to read the book. They don't do their homework. Do you get mad? Do you get upset? Who do you blame? The kids. This is what it means. Everything in this world is never my fault. And what kind of truth is that? Universal, democratic, or aristocratic? I am the king. This is my life. This is my world. So it's my power. I accept no blame. Right? Something falls? Who pushed it? Right? Something's missing. Who took it? Even though you're the only person in the house, tell me you don't think it's someone else took it, right? There has to be a robber or a criminal around here somewhere. Come into my house and took my toothpaste. I can't find it. Someone moved it. What's the first thing you do when you can't find something? You ask somebody else what they did with it. Did you take my toothpaste? No? Did you take my toothpaste? Someone took my toothpaste. But we never ever think that we did it. We never want to admit that we did it. Why? Why not? What's so scary about being wrong? Ever since we were kids, our parents taught us, right? Don't do bad. Don't be wrong. You have to do your best and always be right. But here's the thing. Can anybody always be right? Can anybody do no wrong? It's not possible. It's not, even the Buddha made mistakes. Even the Buddha made people mad. Right? Didn't people try to kill the Buddha? Even the Buddha had enemies. Now if the Buddha had these problems, what about us? How can we avoid them? It goes back to the original saying. If you desire something that can't be, therefore, when you don't get it, you will have suffering. But if you learn to desire things that are possible, then when you get it, you'll be happy, right? So here's the thing. If you desire things for yourself to change, you desire things for your mind to understand things properly, or when you say, my husband will take out the trash, that's only one thing, guaranteed, it's permanent. But it's not. Nothing is ever permanent in this world. So if you expect him to say yes or no, then when he says either one, you're prepared for it. You're ready for it. But the reason that we're not ready for it is when we prepare to ask him the question, we already expect him to say yes. We already desire him to say yes. And this is the problem. Ajahn Chah, a very famous teacher in Thailand, once said, someone who sees a chicken and a duck, but wants the duck to be a chicken and the chicken to be a duck, will never have a single day of happiness in his or her life. But the person who sees a duck as a duck and a chicken as a chicken will have a chance at happiness in this life. What does that mean? It sounds very obvious, right? Of course, a chicken is a chicken, a duck is a duck, right? It's very obvious. Would you agree with me that you'd have to be kind of stupid to think that a chicken could be a duck and a duck could be a chicken? You'd have to be pretty stupid, right? Do you agree? You'd have to be almost an idiot to think that a duck could, be like a chicken, and that a chicken can go swim in the water with a duck. It's impossible, right? The chicken goes in the water, sinks. It's not going to swim, it can't swim. But here's the thing. Yes, we are stupid if we think that way. But that's the chicken and the duck, right? Now what about our son, our daughter, our husband, our wife? Do we think that they're different from us? Do we think that they're different from us? No, they're the same. You have 2 arms, I got 2 arms. You got 2 legs, I have 2 legs. You have 2 eyes, I have the same thing as you. So we're the same. So if I like things like this, in this order, you have to like it the same way, right? And if you don't do it like this, you put it down here or you put it sideways, I'm gonna get mad. Put it back. Put it the way it was supposed to be. And then they try and they can't do it. Some women like to clean a lot. And as the husband or the boyfriend, we can't clean like you guys. We tried, and then you want us to clean more. But we can't do it. Why? What do you think? You think, well, we're the same. You should be able to do it. But in reality, it's because we're different. We come from different places. We have different mentalities. We have different thinking and feelings. So your standards and our standards are not the same. Let's say that he wants you to live a messier life. Could you do it? Could you live a life where everything's just put out wherever it is and not cleaned up? And could you live that life? So why do we think that our standard is better? Why do we think that our standard is the one that's correct? Do you see that this is the cause of our suffering? You learn something from somebody else. You learned it from school, You learn it from your parents. You learn it from your friends. You learn it from popular culture. And then you accept it as your own. You accept it as your personality. And then you try to go around forcing other people to be like you. And when they can't do it, you fight. You get angry. You get upset. So let's say that you get upset. Can you go practice meditation? You sit down, close your eyes, focus on your breathing. Does it get better? Sometimes a little bit. You know, when you're meditating, you're calm and you're peaceful, and you forget about the problem, right? But then when you go back home and you see the bedroom, the bed's not made, the bathroom's smelly and dirty, you get mad again. You have to go meditate again. Right? I mean, it's good for the monks because you come visit Ajahn all the time. That's good for him, but it's not so good for you. Okay, let's practice number 7, sati. Let's just be aware. I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm angry. Okay, it's coming down a little bit. Oh, it came back up. Okay, it's coming down a little bit. It's coming down a little bit. Okay, it's been 1 hour. My anger went away. But the same thing, you see it again. Angry, angry. Okay, it went away. You can observe it all day. But does it fix the problem? No. Well, what about if you just don't say anything? You see it, you get angry, but you don't say anything. You don't do anything. Does that solve the problem? No. What must we do then? We must learn to look within ourselves. We set up these games. We set up these games where it's like, I want you to clean. If you clean, I won't be mad. I won't be happy, but I won't be mad. But if you don't clean, I'm gonna be mad. And then you put it down, you see a problem, and then you just wait. You just wait for that guy or that girl to come back and see it, and you just wait. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You just wait to see what happens. And you're like, oh, watch, just watch. And I know it, I know he's not gonna pick it up. And then he doesn't pick it up. I knew it, you weren't gonna pick it up. You didn't clean, you should. You didn't see it, didn't you see it? And you sit down and you try to explain to them what's going on. You ever see your husband or wives have that look on their face that just, I'm so confused. I don't even know what we're arguing about. What did I do wrong? You don't see it? See what? They don't get it. And here's the thing. Things can be clean or not clean. That's not the point of what I'm saying. But the point is that when you set up this game, and you set up this game for the other person to fail or succeed, you're gonna always get 2 answers. Either they do what you want or they won't. And because of your desire to get something and to force something out of someone, that's why you risk the suffering. But if you learn to be self-sufficient, if it's clean, it's clean. If it's not, I'll do it. If I can't do it, I let it go. If you learn to be within yourself, self-sufficient, you don't have to go watching for other people if they do it or not, if they care or not, if they whatever or not. Just be responsible for what you want. You don't have to set up rules or games for people to fail. Because you don't understand that. That causes you suffering. Everything in life, we only stop once you see the suffering. Right? People who are too fat, when do you start losing weight? Not when you're kind of fat, but when do you start? When the doctor says you're gonna die. Right? Or when your girlfriend doesn't want to date you anymore because you're too fat. Right? That's when you'll try to stop. Isn't that the reason? Or what about people who smoke cigarettes or do drugs? When do they stop? They stop when they see somebody die. They stop when they know that they're going to die. Or they stop when they die. You see the suffering first for them to stop. Because here's the thing. If you don't see the suffering, you will never stop. You'll keep doing all the things, all the problems. You'll keep doing it. Because you keep on sending the negative power to other people. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not my fault. But if we learn to take responsibility for ourselves, that's when we can start practicing Buddhism. That's when we can start investigating our wrong viewpoints and changing them to right viewpoints. I want to tell you a funny story that happened a little while ago. Maybe this will be a little different than the sermon, but I'm going to tell you a story. So once upon a time, it was Chinese New Year's in Thailand. And I don't know about you guys, but for Chinese New Year's, every restaurant in Thailand is closed. I don't know how Indonesia is, but maybe it's the same way, right? Because there's so many Chinese people, you want to go eat at a restaurant, but on Chinese New Year's, every Thai restaurant, Chinese restaurant, is closed. It's normal. So there's this couple, right? He's a husband, a wife, and the daughter sitting in the car. They're driving around looking for a restaurant. Well, the thing is, the husband and the wife, they used to go to school in California for about 4 years. And then they moved home, they got married, and they moved home and had a baby. The baby's 7 years old now. So they're driving around, and they're looking for food, and they're very upset. Everything's closed, and they don't want to cook. So they drive around a little bit more, and they see this big orange and yellow light far away. They get closer and closer, and guess what they see? They see a McDonald's. They're like, okay, I mean, that's not exactly what we wanted, but since everything's closed, let's go to McDonald's then. So they pull into the McDonald's. The husband is driving, and the husband looks over to the wife and says, Mom, they call them dad and mom, you know. Mom, is McDonald's okay? And the girl says, sure, no problem. He says, okay, how about this? You go down and you buy the food. I'll stay in the car with the daughter because in Thailand it's really hot. So we have the air conditioning on, so we'll wait here. You go buy the food and then come back, okay? She's like, yeah, no problem. So she says, so honey, I think I want a Big Mac. And here's the thing, the problem is this guy's Chinese. And in his entire generation or history, his whole family doesn't eat beef. He's never eaten beef. His mother doesn't eat beef, his father doesn't eat beef, and they just don't eat beef. So when this guy says, I want a Big Mac, the wife is like, what? Seriously? So the wife asked the husband, honey, you want a Big Mac? Are you sure? With a nice cute smile, nice eyes, nice voice, you know, baby, you want a Big Mac? Are you sure? And the husband looks confused. So he looks out the window again, looks at the sign and says, yeah, I want a Big Mac. So the girl smiles, you know, does her little cute thing, says, baby, honey, you want a Big Mac? Are you sure you want a Big Mac? You want a Big Mac? A Big Mac? And the husband's like, what's going on? Looks out the window again. Yeah, I want a Big Mac. So the wife says, okay, she claps him. Honey, are you sure you want a Big Mac? A Big Mac? And he looks at her and says, shut up already. Go buy me the damn Big Mac. What's your problem? Why do you keep asking me? Go buy the Big Mac. Now she's mad. Why do you have to yell at me? I didn't do anything. Okay, so then the wife gets out of the car and goes buys the Big Mac meal. She buys a meal for herself, a meal for the daughter, and a meal for the husband. Gets back to the car, a little angry, but you know, she practices Buddhism, so she tries to smile, tries to be nice and respectful. So she hands him the bag, hand the daughter the bag, and take the bag herself. So they all sit down in the car, they drink the soda, eat the French fries, and they eat their sandwich. Now the husband takes out his sandwich, takes it out, opens the box, looks at it. Smells it again, takes off a tiny piece. Takes this thing, throws it at the wife. The whole bag, just throws it at the wife. And then yells at her, what the hell is wrong with you? We've been married, we've known each other for like 20 years. Have you ever seen me eat beef? No. Why in the hell would you buy me a beef sandwich? Are you stupid? Are you crazy? You want to fight with me, right? I mean, you know I'm hungry, but you want to fight. That's why you did something so stupid, right? And the wife is like, I don't believe this. I didn't do anything. right? Did she do anything wrong? McDonald's was his choice, right? The Big Mac was his choice. I asked you 3 times what you wanted. And then you yelled at me, and I still went to buy it. My money, and I give it to you like you're the king, and then you throw it at me and yell at me? So if you were a court of law, who would you blame for this situation? Husband or wife? So if you think the wife is wrong, raise your hand. Nobody? Okay. If you think the husband is wrong, raise your hand. Oh, this husband's in trouble. Okay, so here's the thing. She had been trained in this style of Buddhism before, and she remembers that if you are mad, it is always your fault. Whenever you get mad, it's always your fault. The Buddha taught 2 very interesting stories. One, he said, if someone lights your hair on fire, what should you do? Should you go light their hair on fire? Or should you take the water, pour it on your head first, and then take care of the problems on your head, and then whatever? Number 2, if someone takes an arrow and shoots you, and it gets you right here, what should you do? Should you go take an arrow and try to stab him back? Or should you take this arrow out first and take care of your wound? And that's what it means. If you get mad at somebody, that means somebody shot you. But you have to fix it here. But what do we normally do? We always try to go get them back, right? You burned my hair, I burned your hair, right? But that's wrong. So she remembered this story, and she says, okay, I'm mad, it's my fault. But how? How is it my fault? Even everyone in this room agrees that it's not her fault, right? So she says, okay, I believe my teachers, so I'm not going to talk, I'm not going to look at him, I'm not going to look at him, and I'm just going to sit here like this, quiet. And I said, take me home. And she just sit there quiet. So they drive home 1 hour, get home, she run into the house, slam the door, go into her bedroom, turn on the shower really loud, and just scream one time, like, ah, one time really loud. Then she picks up her phone, calls America, and says, Machi, Machi, you know, like nun, right? Machi, Machi, I think I'm going to kill my husband today. Can you help me? I'm going to kill my husband. And Machi is like, slow down, what's going on? What do you mean kill your husband? What's going on? She's like, my husband's so stupid, he's so stubborn, and told Machi the story. And then Machi smiled and said, yeah, it is your fault. And she's like, what? How is it my fault? And then Machi asked her, wait, so by the way, what's a Big Mac? And she says, what? Machi, you've been in America for 35 years. You have 2 kids that were born in America. You don't know what a Big Mac is? And the Machi says, no, I don't know. The kids always order what they want. I never eat McDonald's. I don't know what it is. And that's when she realized that she was wrong. She made a very big mistake in here. Can anybody tell me what it was? Why? This is important, okay? She didn't explain to the husband. But here's this is like the most important part of this. This is like the heart and soul of Buddhism, okay? So be very careful here. Why did she not tell the husband? Why did she? Good. I give you 50% out of 100. Why? Why did she assume that?
Well, they were from America, so they assume they know.
They should know.
She assumed he also knows.
So it's because I know, right? The girl knows, so I assume that you know, right? Now, is that a universal truth? If I know something, you know something. Is that a universal truth? No. So if I let you change this sentence, I know, therefore you know. I let you add one word to make this sentence a universal truth. What would you put in there? You know the answer, say it loud. If I know, then you know.
May know.
Mm-hmm.
May know.
You know. That's a permanent statement. Do you see that? How he said life is impermanent, everything in the world is impermanent, but that statement is permanent. If I know, you know. But when you change it to, if I know, you might know, that's impermanent. Because either they know or they don't. So in this case, if you think this way, you prepare yourself differently, right? So let's say that if the husband said, Big Mac, and the first time you ask him really cute again, honey, you want a Big Mac? He says, yes, I want a Big Mac. And then you realize that maybe he doesn't know. So then you'll ask him, do you know that it's beef? Would this problem happen? Would there be any argument? So let me ask you, is the husband a good guy then? Is he a bad guy? Is he still the same guy? He's still the same. But do you see that if you change yourself, change the way you think, change yourself, your words change. And when you change, sometimes you can fix problems that you never thought were even your fault. You want to hear another example? One more example? Okay. This one happened to me myself. I'm sitting in the car with my father. He's driving, I'm sitting in the back seat. And he tells me, you know, this person, a friend of his daughter is getting married. So I ask him a simple question. Who is it? And he says, oh, you know, that girl who graduated from Tula. Who is it? You know, she likes tennis and ping pong, and she was on that boat that one time. Who is it? Oh, you know, her dad's name is George. George, her dad's name is George. And I'm getting angry now, like, come on. Who? And I realized, and this is when I started to think that, is it possible that I'm asking the wrong question? Is it possible that maybe the word who is it doesn't mean the same thing to him that it means to me? Because I think that with my mom or my sister, if I ask who is it, they will just tell me, oh, it's Sarah, it's Jessica, it's John Smith. They'll give me a name. Or they'll give me, oh, you know them from something. That's what normal people would do. But my dad's not normal to me. He's not normal. And so that's the first time after, 30 years of problems with my dad. And I mean a lot of problems. I can't tell you today, I'll run out of time. But after 30 years of problem, after I changed my mind, the whole chicken and the egg, the chicken and the duck story, that maybe he's not a chicken like me. Maybe we're not the same. So that means I have to learn to talk to him in his language. So I asked him, Dad, have I ever met her before anywhere? And he says, no. Isn't that what I want to know? So why didn't I ask that question the first time? Because I assume that if I ask him like this, he'll answer me the way I want. Do you see how it all comes down to, it's my fault again. It's my fault again. Because I make assumptions. But here's the good thing, is that you make mistakes in this world so that you can learn from them. We're so afraid of making mistakes. We're so scared of doing anything wrong. But everything you do wrong comes from a wrong viewpoint. So that means if you can find out what you do wrong, you can trace it back to your viewpoint and fix it. Once you fix this viewpoint, you solve so many problems that are going to come in the future. Like in the story of the girl in the McDonald's story, she had a problem thinking, if I know, you must know. But now that she's seen this problem and she fixed it in here, next time, maybe somebody comes in and takes my orange juice and drinks it. Some people in the audience will say, that's not good, that's not right. They offer that to the monk, you should not steal from the monk, right? But then you think that they know what they're doing. You're assuming that they know. Therefore, if you have this problem in the past, you'll realize, wait a minute, I'm assuming that they know what's right or wrong. How do I know that? How do I know that for sure? You'll have that doubt, and therefore before you go out there and yell at them or grab them and pull them down, you'll think for a second first. You'll take a second out and think first. And then that will prevent a lot of negative karma that will come your way. So in conclusion of today's sermon, what I want to get across to you is this. Yam pichang nalapati tampi tukang. If you desire something, you'll set things up to achieve that. But if it doesn't turn out the way you want, it's because of what you set up. You set the desire. You set the conditions. And if it fails, it's your fault. And the good thing is that if you know that, just change your desire. Desire something that's achievable, which is something that's impermanent. You desire the impermanence, you will always get it. If you desire the permanence, you'll get it 50% of the time. And that's not enough for us to be happy. Okay, so I want to conclude right there, and if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. Do I have to prepare for failure? Well, here's what I'm going to ask you. Have you already prepared for success? If you prepared for success, yes, you have to prepare for failure. But on the opposite side, if you've already prepared for failure, you have to prepare for success. In every case, you must prepare for the one you want, the one you don't want, and the one that you didn't think about.
30, 30, 30.
You know, the number games, I call it 50-50 because it's just a coin flip, but the more you add, it's still 50-50. You know, I understand the math, but I mean, you know, it's still just relatively just, you never know. And the 50-50 doesn't mean exactly 50 and 50, just you never know. Anything can happen. Like, even that 1% can change, you know? So, what it is that if you don't know, and you always prepare for that, to think positive, then it's going to be a problem for you. But if you always think negative, you have to learn to think positive. If you think positive, you have to learn to think negative. You need to balance yourself out. Only you know if you're a negative person or a too positive. So whatever the opposite is, learn that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ada lagi pertanyaan, satu lagi. One more question.
Okay. When the Lord Buddha passing away, he's aware of the things that we have a few books like John, first until 8th John, and back to first until passing to the 4th John. So as the lay people, we all gonna die someday. It's an absolute ticket for us. Now, some of us, some people we might just die right away. Some of them might be unconscious before they die. So, if you think that people that is unconscious before they die, will they be able to have suffering? Or they
To answer your question, can they have sati? Everyone has sati. Everyone. But it might not be to the level that you're talking about. Like the Buddha level, but everyone has some level of sati. But I think if you allow me to answer another question that's similar to yours, which means after you die, what's going to happen to you, right? Because you want to know, like, the reason you want to know if you have sati is so that will you be okay after death? Well, here's the thing. Being okay after death doesn't depend on when you die. It depends on what you did in this world, what you did while you were alive. Because this is what happens, okay? Let me change the example a bit. Everyone here has had a dream before, right? Everyone has been asleep, everyone woke up had a dream. When you wake up from your dream, you take 1 second to think, was it a good dream or was it a bad dream, right? You think about, yeah, maybe there was some mixed parts. Maybe like, I won the lottery, but then this person burned my house. So it's like, that was a good thing, and then that was, so together, is that good or bad? If you don't know, then it's a little good, a little bad. Sometimes it's like, I didn't see my dead father, but I got to see him again, so I'm very happy, but then he says, I'm going to take you with me, and then you're very scared. When you wake up from the dream, you evaluate your dream, right? If you can remember, you evaluate your dream. After you die, it's the same thing. There is no like special ghost or spirit waiting to pull you to heaven or hell. It's just you. You ask yourself, am I a good person or am I a bad person? And so the thing is, you can't just go by how you feel. You have to have evidence. So you ask yourself, have I ever killed anybody? Hopefully no. Okay, have I ever hurt anybody physically? Have I ever punched anyone, kicked anyone, used a car to hit somebody? Any kind of hard physical pain, have I? Yes. Then you feel guilty, and you start to feel really guilty, and then your soul falls a couple inches. Then you ask yourself, have I ever, atinatana, have I ever stolen anything? And you say, oh yeah, I remember. Back when I was 7 years old, I saw that pencil from that guy, and I really wanted it, so I took the pencil, and he didn't know. But then you feel bad. You remember it. After 60 years, you still remember it. And then you ask yourself, did I ever cheat on my wife or my husband? I never cheated, but I did look a lot. I like pretty girls, so I looked a lot, but I didn't touch. But then, are you wrong? Then you're like, I don't know, am I wrong? I mean, I didn't touch them, but they were really pretty. And so you're not sure. And that not sure, your soul drops a little bit. Then, did you ever lie? It's like, oh my God, a lot. Who did you lie to? Oh, this person. You're like, oh my God. And that, did I drink and do drugs? And it's like, oh my God. And all of a sudden now it's like, okay, fine, wait. Did I do any good in my life? And you think, did I do any good in my life? Well, I gave the homeless man food, but then your mind's going to say, but it was leftovers. Oh, okay, that doesn't count. Okay. How about I help my mom? Help my mom do dishes sometimes. I did this, I did that, and then you might have a couple small things that you remember, but the negative is so heavy. It's so heavy with all the things that you've done, and that the good is not enough. So then this person's soul, which side is heavier? So just like the Titanic, whichever side's heavier, it goes down, right? Then you have to go to the dark places and serve your hell sentence. But on the other side, if it asks you, did you ever kill anybody? No. Hurt anybody? Never intentionally. Have you ever stolen anything? Never, that I remember. Did you ever cheat? Never. Have you ever lied? Yes, but never to hurt someone. Have you ever drank or done drugs? Never done drugs. Don't drink, except for in social situations that take one sip. This person has nothing that they are confused about. They're so sure that they've done nothing wrong. Even if they did do something wrong, they're like, nope. I'm sure of myself that I'm a good person. I didn't do wrong. How about good? He's like, yep. Every time it's my birthday, I go to the temple. Every katina, I never missed it. Every Sunday, I go to the temple and make food for the monks at 6 in the morning. Never missed it. I donate 10% of my money to the temple. I drive the monks around. I set up these beautiful groups that set up this together. You can list it forever, like all the things that you actually done. Such that you have pictures. I have pictures of that katina, that sangha meeting. This, I have evidence. So this person, like a balloon, floats up. So at the end, it doesn't matter that much what sati you have at that last moment, because even if you have great sati but a horrible life, you're not going to get away. So if you have good sati but a good life, you'll always go to heaven anyway. So it really comes down to when you do good or when you do bad, how do you use it? When you do good, that's why they say the good action has 3 parts: before, during, and after. You have to feel like, I want to do this good. Then you need to actually do it. And then you need to give yourself a high five. Good job, man. And you need to remember it. That's why do you think we have these big ceremonies? Why do we have to have all this long, boring chanting in these big situations? Why? Because that's what makes you remember. That's what makes you feel it in here that I sacrificed something. I know my legs hurt, I'm tired, I have to go to the bathroom, but I'm going to sit here and listen. That's a sacrifice. No one makes you do that. That's you. Give yourself credit. But if you sit there thinking, oh, this monk talks so long, I don't even understand what he's saying. When is he going to stop? You don't get the points for the sacrifice that you're making. You see what I mean? You do good, but you don't getting paid. You're a volunteer. You get no money. It's not that good. You know? So to answer your question very simply, it depends on what you did in life more, what's going to happen to you.